Blood was everywhere. I felt it dripping down my legs, soaking the bedsheet, and I screamed until my throat burned. My 10 brothers stood there, shadows in the dark, watching me cry, watching me bleed. I begged them to stop, but they didn't listen. My voice cracked, my tears mixed with the pain, and my body shook. I collapsed on the cold floor, my heart pounding. As the night swallowed me whole, I could feel my soul breaking, piece by piece, while they walked away like nothing happened. That was the night I lost my virginity, and for 30 days, blood wouldn't stop flowing from me. I thought I was going to die. Each day, I would wake up weak and dizzy, my dress stained with blood. I cried for help, but no one took me to the hospital. My mother said it was shameful to tell anyone. My father was always drunk and never asked me why I limped or why I cried alone in the corner. I carried my pain in silence. I carried my disease for 30 years. But what I didn't know was that one day a miracle would come. Tears burn my eyes even now, thinking about how it all began. I was just 15. I trusted them, all 10 of my brothers. We laughed together, played in the backyard, and shared meals from the same plate. I never believed that the same people who held my hand when I was afraid of the dark would become the monsters I feared most. But it all started one night, when the power went out in our small house and everything changed. That night, I had fallen asleep early because I was tired from helping Mother with the cooking. I remember clutching my pillow, dreaming about becoming a nurse one day. Then I felt a cold hand on my leg. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but then I opened my eyes and saw one of my brothers standing over me, his face hidden in the shadows. I froze. My heart stopped. Before I could scream, another hand covered my mouth. I kicked, I fought, but they were stronger. All 10 of them. I remember their whispers, their laughter, and the way the room smelled of sweat and fear. I remember screaming against their hands, my nails digging into their skin, but they didn't care. They broke me. They destroyed me. I can still hear my own voice echoing in my head, screaming for help that never came. My parents were just 2 rooms away, but they never came. I don't know if they heard me, or if they pretended not to. When it was all over, I lay on the bed bleeding, broken, and too weak to move. I begged them to take me to the hospital, but they laughed. They said no one would believe me. For 30 days I lived like that, bleeding every single day, hiding my pain under long skirts and fake smiles. I was terrified of sleeping because every night felt like a nightmare waiting to happen. I started to hate the dark. I hated my own body. I hated myself for being alive. I thought of ending it all, but something deep inside me wanted to live, to fight, even if I didn't know how. One day, I fainted while fetching water. My mother saw the blood on my dress and slapped me. She asked me what I had done. She called me a disgrace. She never asked who hurt me. My father was worse. He said I was lying, that I must have been with a man outside. I wanted to scream the truth, but I was too scared. My brothers looked at me with cold, warning eyes. If I spoke, they said they would kill me. The pain in my body turned into something worse. A fever started. My stomach hurt all the time. I knew something was wrong, but no one cared. For years, I lived with that sickness. Doctors said it was too late when I finally got help. The disease stayed with me, like a shadow that never leaves. But I promise you this. What they did to me did not end my story. It only started a fire in my heart, one that burned quietly for 30 years. And when the day came for my miracle, they never saw it coming. I still remember the night I collapsed again, just like the first night. Only this time, something happened that no one expected. I collapsed that night just like I did 30 years ago, but this time I thought my life was finally over. I was in my small kitchen when my legs gave out. My body slammed against the hard floor, and I felt blood running from me again. My hands trembled as I tried to crawl, but the pain was too much. I screamed, but no one came. I was alone just like I had been all those years ago. My tears mixed with the dust on the floor, and I whispered, "God, please don't let me die like this." For a moment, I felt darkness pulling me away. My vision blurred and I saw their faces, my brothers laughing, whispering, their hands grabbing me like before. I begged them to stop, but the memory wouldn't go away. My body shook and I collapsed fully, my head hitting the floor. I could taste blood in my mouth. My heart slowed. I thought it was the end. Then it happened. A soft knock on my door. I couldn't move, I couldn't answer. The door creaked open and I heard footsteps rushing in. Grandma! Grandma! It was my neighbor's little boy, Samuel. He screamed when he saw me lying in blood. He ran to call his mother, and within minutes, 2 women from the compound carried me to the street, shouting for help. I drifted in and out of consciousness, feeling the warm tears of someone holding my hand. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed with bright white lights above me. My body was covered with wires and my lips were dry. A nurse was standing by me, holding my wrist to check my pulse. "You're safe now," she whispered. But I wasn't safe, not in my mind. Not from the memories. The doctor told me I had been bleeding inside for years. My illness was worse than I imagined. "How did this start?" he asked. I wanted to tell him everything, the abuse, the blood, the nights of screaming, but I couldn't. The words got stuck in my throat. I just said, "It started a long time ago when I was young." For days in the hospital I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw them. I remember being 15 again, lying in my room, thinking the nightmare was over after that first night. But it wasn't. They came back the second night. And the third. It went on for weeks and I bled every time. I was too weak to fight, too afraid to tell anyone. I used to stare at the ceiling waiting for the morning sun, praying for someone to save me. But no one came. I remember one particular night when I woke up with blood all over my dress and the sheet. I cried silently, biting my hand so no one would hear me. I felt so dirty, so broken. My brothers passed by my room, laughing like nothing had happened. I wanted to die. But I didn't. Something in me refused to let them take my life too. I swore that if I lived, I would find a way to escape that house and never look back. As I lay in that hospital bed, those memories burned inside me like fire. My neighbor, Mama Grace, sat by my bed one night and held my hand. "You have to forgive them," she said softly, as if she knew something. But I shook my head. "No. Y whisperat. I can never forgive them. They took everything from me." One evening, as I stared out of the hospital window, I heard a voice, not from outside, but deep inside me. It was like God Himself was speaking. "Your time of pain is over. Your miracle is near." I closed my eyes and tears rolled down my cheeks. Could it be true? Could something good come out of this life of scars? But just when I thought things were turning around, I received a visitor who made my heart stop. Standing by my hospital bed was one of my brothers, the one I feared most. He looked at me with cold eyes and said, "You better keep your mouth shut or you'll regret it." The moment I saw him, my blood ran cold. It was John, my eldest brother, the one who led them that night. His face was older now, lined with age, but his eyes, those cold, merciless eyes hadn't changed. I froze, my hands trembling on the bedsheet. My heart pounded so hard that I thought it would tear through my chest. He leaned closer, his voice low and venomous. "You've kept your mouth shut for 30 years. Don't start talking now. We are family. You'll destroy everything if you open that mouth." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shout and tell the world what they had done to me. But my lips were dry, and fear wrapped around my throat like a rope. My mind was screaming, "Why did you come here? Why now?" His presence alone dragged me back to that room, that night, that pain. I swallowed hard, forcing words out. Why did you do that to me?" My voice cracked, heavy with pain. John's jaw tightened. He looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Forget the past," he said coldly. "What happened back then stays between us. Do you understand?" Tears welled in my eyes. My fists clenched under the blanket. "You ruined my life," I whispered, my voice trembling. "You all destroyed me. And you're asking me to stay silent?" He leaned closer, his breath hot against my ear. "Do you think anyone will believe you now? It's been 30 years. You'll only shame yourself. Keep quiet." His words cut deeper than any wound. I could feel my heart breaking all over again, just like when I was that terrified 15-year-old girl. I wanted to fight back, but my body was weak. He stood there for a moment longer, glaring, and then he left without another word. As soon as he walked out, I broke down. I screamed into my pillow, my tears soaking it. My chest felt heavy, my breath shaky. Memories I had buried deep came rushing back. The nights they took turns hurting me, the endless blood, the fear of closing my eyes. I could almost hear my younger self begging for mercy, begging for someone to save me. That night in the hospital I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how much I had suffered in silence. All because I was too afraid to speak. But then I remembered the voice I heard. Your time of pain is over. Your miracle is near. Could this be the moment to fight back? To finally break the chains of fear? The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called for the nurse and asked to see the hospital's social worker. My hands were shaking, my voice barely a whisper, but I said the words. I want to report something terrible that happened to me. The social worker sat with me, a gentle woman with kind eyes. For the first time in 30 years, I told someone my truth. I told her about the night I lost my virginity to the people I trusted most, my 10 brothers. I told her about the blood, the fear, and how I bled for 30 days without any help. I told her about the disease I had carried all my life because of that nightmare. By the time I finished, I was shaking, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. She held my hand and said, "You are so strong. You've carried this pain for too long. But now you are not alone." For the first time I felt a tiny spark of hope. But that hope was tested when I learned something shocking the very next day. Something that almost made me collapse again. One of my brothers was working at the hospital. He had overheard everything I told the social worker. And that night he came for me. That night, the hospital halls were too quiet. I was lying in bed half asleep, when I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming closer to my room. My heart skipped. Something about the sound sent chills down my spine. The door creaked open and there he was, Mark, my third brother. He worked at the hospital as a cleaner. I didn't know he was here until that moment. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a soft click. The lights were dim, and his face looked darker, twisted. "You told them, didn't you?" His voice was a whisper, but it felt like a scream to my ears. I froze. My fingers tightened around the blanket. "Mark, please." Don't you dare speak my name," he hissed, moving closer to my bed. 30 years you kept quiet. Now you want to ruin us? Do you think anyone will believe an old, sick woman like you? My chest tightened. Tears burned my eyes. I'm not lying. You all. He slammed his fist on the table beside my bed, making me jump. "Shut up," he growled. His voice trembled with anger. "You think God will forgive you for bringing shame to your family? If you open your mouth again, you won't leave this hospital alive." Fear gripped me like a cold hand. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I could feel my pulse racing, my breath uneven. Then he leaned over me, his face inches from mine, and whispered, "Remember that night, Grandma? You begged me to stop. But I didn't. And I won't stop now if you don't keep your mouth shut." My body shook uncontrollably. I felt like I was 15 again, helpless and broken. I couldn't take it anymore. As soon as he left, I broke down, my sobs echoing in the empty room. I knew then that silence wasn't just killing me, it was protecting them. And I hated myself for it. The next morning, the social worker came to check on me. I wanted to tell her everything, but my lips trembled. I could still hear Mark's threat. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. I forced a smile and nodded, but inside I was screaming. That day, I realized I couldn't fight them alone. They were powerful, connected, and unashamed of what they did. I needed help, real help. Someone stronger than them. Later that evening, Mama Grace came to visit me. She looked at my pale face and said, "You're hiding something, aren't you? I can see it in your eyes." And before I could stop myself, I grabbed her hand and whispered, "They know I spoke. They want to silence me." Mama Grace's eyes widened. "Who?" "My brothers," I said, my voice breaking. "They're here. They want to hurt me." She took a deep breath, her grip firm on my hand. "Then we will not stay silent. If they come for you again, I'll be here. I'll fight with you." Her words gave me a spark of courage I hadn't felt in years. But that night, everything exploded. I woke up to a noise outside my hospital room. Footsteps, whispers, the sound of something metallic hitting the floor. When I opened my eyes, I saw the shadow of someone standing at my door. The knob turned slowly. My heart pounded as I grabbed the call button. But before I could press it, the door opened. And standing there were two of my brothers, John and Mark. They had come together. The sight of both John and Mark standing at my door made my blood run cold. My whole body trembled. John stepped in first, his heavy boots thudding against the hospital floor. Mark followed, shutting the door behind them with a slow, menacing click. I was trapped. John's eyes were sharp and cruel as he said, "You've forgotten who you're dealing with. We warned you, Grandma. We told you not to talk." I tried to speak but my voice cracked. "Please leave me alone. I just want to heal." Mark smirked, leaning against the wall. "Heal? You've been bleeding for 30 years. And now you want to destroy us by telling the world? No one will believe you. You're just an old, bitter woman with a disease." Their words cut me like knives. I felt my chest tighten, tears blurring my vision. I wanted to scream for help, but fear kept my mouth dry. Then John stepped closer and whispered, "If you keep talking, I swear you'll never leave this hospital alive. We will end you. And no one will even know how it happened." I felt my heart pounding so hard that I thought it would burst. My hands shook as I clutched the blanket. I thought of the little girl I once was, that terrified 15-year-old who screamed for help in the dark while they hurt me. That night I realized something. If I stayed silent, they would keep winning. But if I spoke, I might lose my life. Tears rolled down my face as I whispered, "God, give me strength." Strength. Mark laughed, a cruel sound that made my skin crawl. "You think God cares about you? Where was God when we—" "Enough," I shouted, my voice trembling but loud enough to make them freeze. For the first time in 30 years, I looked John in the eye and said, "You may have broken me, but I am not afraid of you anymore. Do whatever you want. I will not stay silent." John's face twisted with anger. He grabbed my wrist, squeezing it so hard that I winced in pain. "You'll regret this," he hissed. "We are your family. Without us you have no one." Just then, the door burst open. Mama Grace and a nurse rushed in. "What's going on here?" Mama Grace shouted. John released my wrist instantly and stepped back, forcing a fake smile. "We were just visiting our sister," he lied. The nurse glared at them. "Visiting hours are over. Leave now." John and Mark exchanged a cold look, but they walked out without another word. The moment they left, I broke down. My whole body shook with sobs. Mama Grace hugged me tight, her voice trembling with anger. "They won't hurt you again. Not while I'm here." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what John said. "Without us, you have no one." Maybe that was true. But I knew one thing. I would rather stand alone with the truth than live with their lies. The next morning, the social worker came to see me again. This time, I told her everything, about the threats, about John and Mark confronting me. Her face turned pale. "This is serious," she said. "We need to involve the police." I hesitated. My heart raced. Could I really face them? Could I really let the world know the truth after all these years? But before I could make a decision, something happened that shook me to my core. That evening, as I looked out of my hospital window, I saw two men standing outside the gate waiting. They were my other brothers. I froze when I saw them. Two of my other brothers were standing at the hospital gate, leaning against a black car, their faces cold and unfeeling. They were waiting for me. I could feel their eyes on my window like wolves stalking their prey. My stomach knotted with fear. It was as if my past had followed me to the very place where I was supposed to heal. I quickly shut the curtain, my hands trembling. My breathing became shallow. They're all here. All of them will come for me. The thought made my skin crawl. I tried to call for the nurse, but my voice cracked. Instead, I whispered a prayer, my tears soaking into the blanket. Minutes later, I heard the sound of heavy boots in the hallway. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst. Then a loud knock on my door. Bam! 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 "Open this door," a deep voice commanded. I recognized it instantly, Peter, my sixth brother. My hands went cold. I felt like I was 15 again, cornered, helpless, drowning in fear. "Please," I whispered, backing away from the door. "Not again." The door handle rattled violently. Mama Grace, who had just stepped out to buy food, wasn't there. The nurse on duty was far down the hall. I was alone. I could hear them whispering to each other outside the door, planning something. Let's just finish her, one voice said. She's causing too much trouble. No, another voice whispered back. We can scare her into silence. She'll never dare speak again. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. I felt trapped. My legs shook as I grabbed the bedside lamp, ready to defend myself if they broke in. Then suddenly the door slammed open. Peter and David stormed inside. The lamp slipped from my trembling hands. Why are you doing this? I cried, my voice breaking. Haven't you done enough? You ruined my life. Peter's face twisted into something dark and hateful. You were nothing then and you're nothing now. If you tell anyone, I swear. Before he could finish, I screamed with every ounce of strength left in me. My scream echoed through the hallway. Nurses came running. Peter grabbed my arm, but I kicked him with all my might, shouting, "Help me! Help me!" The nurses rushed in, and the security guards followed. "Get out!" one of them yelled, shoving my brothers back. Peter and David cursed under their breath as they were dragged out of the room. My chest heaved as I sobbed uncontrollably. After that incident, the hospital called the police. For the first time in 30 years, I saw fear in my brothers' eyes as they were questioned outside. But I knew this was only the beginning. They wouldn't let this go. Not easily. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt a strange mix of fear and strength. My whole life, I had been a prisoner of their silence. But now the truth was crawling out, piece by piece, and I was ready to fight, even if it cost me everything. Then something happened that I will never forget. Around midnight, as I closed my eyes, I felt a strange warmth wash over me, like someone was standing by my side, touching my hand gently. I opened my eyes, but no one was there. And for the first time in years, my pain eased. My bleeding stopped. Was this the miracle I had been waiting for? Or just the calm before another storm? The next morning, I got my answer, when the police came with handcuffs, and one of my brothers tried to attack me right in front of them. The next morning, the hospital corridor was buzzing with voices. I could hear footsteps, radios crackling, and the firm tone of police officers. When my door opened, 2 policemen walked in, their uniforms crisp and their faces serious. Behind them I saw John, my eldest brother, standing with clenched fists, his face twisted with fury. "We need you to confirm the complaint you made," one officer said gently. "We also need to question your brothers." Before I could answer, John stepped forward, his voice booming. "She's lying. She's old and sick. She doesn't know what she's saying. Stay back," the other officer warned, raising a hand to block him. My heart raced. My lips trembled as I whispered, "I'm not lying. They hurt me when I was 15. All of them. For 30 days I bled and no one helped me. I have suffered for 30 years because of them." For a second, the entire room went silent. I could see the shock on the nurses' faces. I felt my body shake, but I didn't stop. "I want to press charges," I said, my voice trembling but firm. John's face turned red with anger. "You stupid woman," he roared and suddenly lunged at me. Everything happened in a flash. I screamed. The officers grabbed him, wrestling him to the ground. Mark and Peter, who had been standing in the hallway, rushed in, shouting and cursing, but the police were ready. "Enough," one officer shouted, pulling out handcuffs. "You're under arrest for intimidation and attempted assault." John fought like a wild animal, his eyes blazing with hatred. "You'll regret this, Grandma. You hear me? You'll regret this." I collapsed against my pillow, sobbing. Mama Grace ran to my side, holding me tightly as the chaos unfolded. "It's over," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's time the truth came out." But even as they dragged John, Mark, and Peter away, I felt no peace. I still had 7 other brothers out there. Men who had hurt me and carried no guilt for what they did. Men who might come after me. The thought of it made my skin crawl. Later that evening, a detective came to take my full statement. I told him everything. Every night of horror, every drop of blood, every scream that went unheard. By the time I finished, I felt drained, but I also felt lighter. For the first time in 30 years, I wasn't hiding anymore. But that night, something happened that nearly broke me again. As I lay in the hospital bed, I heard a soft knock on the window. When I turned my head, I saw a face. David's face, grinning through the glass like a shadow from my worst nightmares. The grin on David's face froze my blood. His eyes were wild, glinting like the devil himself as he tapped lightly on the glass with his knuckles. Tap, tap, tap. Each sound echoed through my bones. I couldn't move. My breath caught in my throat. My fingers gripped the bedsheet so tightly that my nails dug into the fabric. "Open the window, Grandma," he mouthed, his lips curling into a cruel smile. "Just open it, let's talk." I shook my head violently, tears burning my eyes. My chest felt like it would burst. I fumbled for the nurse's call button, but before I could press it, David started pounding on the glass, harder and harder. Bam, bam, bam. The noise tore through the silence of the night. "Open it," he shouted, his voice muffled but terrifying. "If you don't, I swear I'll make you wish you were dead." I screamed, a raw, desperate scream that filled the room. My heart pounded like a drum. The nurse on duty burst into the room within seconds, followed by 2 security guards. When David saw them, he stepped back, his grin fading into a dark scowl. "Who is that?" the nurse gasped, rushing to me. "David," I whispered, shaking. "He's one of them. He's one of the brothers who hurt me." The security guards ran outside, but David was gone, vanished into the night like a shadow. My whole body shook uncontrollably. I clutched Mama Grace's hand when she arrived, sobbing. "He was here, he was watching me. They won't stop." Mama Grace held my face in her hands. "Listen to me, Grandma. They will not touch you again. I swear they will not." Her voice cracked, but she looked me in the eyes with such determination that I felt a flicker of hope. The hospital decided to transfer me to a more secure ward that night, with a police officer stationed at the door. I should have felt safe, but my mind wouldn't stop spinning. I lay awake, trembling, remembering David's face, that grin, that promise of pain. And then, as if my body knew the weight of my fear, I felt something strange. My heart started racing uncontrollably. My breath became shallow, and pain shot through my chest. I gasped for air, clutching my chest as alarms went off. The nurses rushed in, shouting my name. I could barely hear them over the sound of my own heartbeat. My body shook violently, and everything around me turned blurry. "Stay with us," one nurse yelled as the doctor ran in with equipment. In that moment I thought, is this how my story ends? After all this pain, will I die before I see justice? Then I felt it. A strange, warm presence wrapping around me. It was as if an invisible hand was holding my heart together. My breathing slowed. My eyes fluttered open. "Her heart is stabilizing," the doctor shouted. I knew deep down that this was my miracle beginning to show itself. I wasn't going to die, not yet. Not until I finished this fight. But just as I thought the worst was over, the police officer at my door received a call. He looked at me, his face tense, and said, "Ma'am, we have a problem. 3 of your brothers are here. They are demanding to see you, and they don't look peaceful." The moment the officer mentioned my brothers, my blood went cold. My body trembled as I struggled to sit up. "No," I whispered, my voice shaking. "Please don't let them come near me." The officer placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Don't worry, ma'am. We won't let them harm you. But they are outside the hospital shouting your name." From the hallway I could hear their voices, loud, angry, threatening. "Come out, Grandma. Stop lying about us," one of them roared. Another shouted, "We will burn this place down if you keep shaming our family." I covered my ears, rocking back and forth as tears streamed down my face. Their voices dragged me back to that night. The night I screamed for help but none came. The nurses locked my door and stood by me. But I could still feel the fear crawling under my skin. Suddenly the shouting grew louder. The sound of glass breaking echoed through the corridor. The officer rushed outside with 2 guards yelling, "Stay back. This is a hospital." Mama Grace grabbed my hands. "Don't be afraid, Grandma. Look at me. They can't hurt you anymore. You're not that little girl they broke. You are stronger now." But I was trembling too hard to believe her. All I could hear were their angry footsteps coming closer, the chaos of people screaming in the lobby. It felt like the hospital itself was under siege. Then the loudest voice of all, John's voice, cut through everything. "If you don't stop this nonsense, Grandma, I swear we'll finish what we started 30 years ago." I gasped. My chest burned with rage and fear all at once. Something inside me snapped. For years I had been silent. For years, I had swallowed my pain like poison. But now no more. I screamed so loud that even the nurses jumped. I will not be silent anymore. My voice cracked with pain and fury. You hurt me. You destroyed my life. And now, the whole world will know what you did. There was silence in the hallway for a moment. Then I heard John curse under his breath. The police backup finally arrived. 6 officers stormed the hospital and pinned my brothers against the wall. I could hear them struggling, shouting, but this time, it wasn't me they were hurting. The lead officer came into my room and said firmly, "We're taking them into custody. They won't bother you again. We promise." As they dragged my brothers out in handcuffs, I watched through the window, my face wet with tears. A strange feeling washed over me. It wasn't joy, but it wasn't fear either. It was the feeling of a chain breaking. But even with them gone, I knew the fight wasn't over. I still had scars, not just on my body, but in my heart. And I had 7 other brothers who were still hiding, waiting for their chance. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat up, staring out the window whispering, "God, if you saved me tonight, then please give me the strength to finish this." And then, just as the moonlight hit my face, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I picked up, my hands shaking. A cold, deep voice spoke on the other end. "Grandma, it's not over. We're coming for you." The moment I heard that voice on the phone, my blood turned to ice. My hands trembled so badly that the phone almost slipped from my fingers. Who is this?" I whispered, though deep down I already knew. A cruel laugh came through the line. "It's all of us, Grandma. You think the police will save you? We will finish what we started. You can't hide forever." I dropped the phone, my heart pounding against my ribs like it wanted to escape. I could barely breathe. My body shook as I clutched the bedsheet, tears blurring my vision. Mama Grace, who had been dozing off on a chair beside me, woke up and rushed to my side. "What's wrong?" she asked, gripping my shoulders. They're coming for me." I whispered, my voice cracking. "They called me. They said they'll finish what they started." Mama Grace's face hardened with anger.
No, Grandma.
"No more hiding. We're not afraid of them anymore. I will stay right here with you. We will call the police, and they will face justice for what they did to you." But even with her brave words, I felt a storm building inside me. 30 years of pain, silence, and shame boiled in my chest like fire. That night I made a decision. I will not run anymore. I will face them no matter what it costs me. The next morning, police officers stationed themselves inside and outside my hospital room. The hospital management moved me to a private room with CCTV cameras and security guards. Still, my heart refused to rest. I knew my brothers. I knew they wouldn't give up. By noon it happened. A loud crash echoed from outside the hospital. People were screaming. Through the window I saw a black van parked near the entrance. The doors flew open and 5 of my remaining brothers jumped out, holding sticks and knives. "Stay inside," one officer shouted as chaos broke out. Patients screamed and nurses scattered. I clutched Mama Grace's hand so hard that my nails dug into her skin. "God, help us," I cried. The police rushed out to face my brothers. It was a war zone. Shouts, the sound of batons hitting metal, the clash of anger and justice. I watched with wide, terrified eyes as they were tackled to the ground one by one. I could hear John's voice in the distance, yelling curses as officers dragged him into the back of a police van. For the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: freedom. Real freedom. I collapsed on the bed, sobbing so hard that I shook. Mama Grace hugged me, whispering, "It's over, Grandma. It's finally over." But it wasn't just over because they were arrested. Something strange happened after that moment. My bleeding stopped completely. The pain in my body, the disease I had carried for decades, felt like it was lifting. The doctors ran tests over the next few days, and to their shock, my results came back clean. "Your infection, it's gone," the doctor said with wide eyes. "Medically, I can't explain this. It's a miracle." I cried like a baby that day, holding Mama Grace's hands. I knew it wasn't medicine that healed me. It was God's way of telling me that my suffering was over, that my silence had ended and my voice had finally broken the chains of fear.